Now, the topic that we're going to dive into today is one of the biggest points of frustration that I receive from entrepreneurs in general, not just in the fitness and wellness space, but that topic of discussion is, how do I get business credit? I'm finding a lot of entrepreneurs either get denied when they're going for business credit, or they get small limits that don't really move the needle and allow them to scale their business. Now, me, when I first started my business, I actually used liquid capital, which is a story that I've told in the past. I used my own money without any type of additional funding to start my business. Looking back, I can tell you that from a strategic standpoint, that was a mistake. I should have never used my liquid capital to start my business. Instead, I should have leveraged business credit and business funding. Now, while that was a misstep, what I will say is that it gave me a lot of opportunity for growth, and I do not regret it. After making that initial mistake with my business, I dug deep into the financial education and entrepreneurship space. I hired financial mentors with a lot of experience. I created different layers of banking relationships. And when I started my second business, I was fully prepared to secure high business funding limits with different national banks. The biggest opportunity from that misstep was gaining information to help entrepreneurs just like yourself. Now we can dive in to how you actually obtain business credit the right way. Now, to start this video out, I actually implore you to put yourself in the shoes of a lender. Put yourself in the shoes of a bank. So they don't know you. So it's important that you look like a low risk business and not a high risk business. Just to give you some clear information there, a high risk business is a business that does not have visibility and does not look like it's on firm financial ground. That means you're not able to show any current revenue. It also means that you're not findable online, which goes back to something that Duncan and myself have talked about in the past. You have to make sure that you have a website. You need to make sure that you have some form of Google business profile so that these banks see that you're actually a valid, productive business. Now, once you have your online presence there and you do have your financials showing that you have some type of revenue coming in, you can move forward and you can go through the other steps to make sure that you're in position to gain funding. Now, the two biggest steps that you want to make sure that you have in order is you want to have that business bank account set up, like we already mentioned, because that begins the relationship with the bank. But you also want to make sure that you have a real business email. And that's a mistake that I see a lot of new entrepreneurs make. A real business email is going to be an email that's connected to your webpage, your website, your company. It's not going to be mybusiness@gmail.com. It's going to be first name, last name @mybusiness.com. You want to make sure that you have a real presence online. You want to make sure that you have a valid email address because banks judge that very critically. And now once that's all set, as I mentioned before in previous videos, although you're the personal guarantor, more times than not, meaning your credit score has to be above 700. I'd even recommend above 720, above 750 to get the type of limits you would prefer as a startup business. Your business is also going to have its own credit score. So you want to make sure that you set up the structure there appropriately. Now, those three credit bureaus on the business end are going to be Dun & Bradstreet. It's going to be Equifax Business and Experian Business. And now to specify what each one does, Dun & Bradstreet gives you your paydex score, which is a score related to your business. Experian Business is the second one. They look at how you manage your overall business account. And lastly, Equifax Business looks at how you manage your payment overall and looks at your payment trends. And now that you have an understanding of that, you can start building your business credit foundation. Building that credit foundation will ensure that you're not getting denial after denial, and it'll also ensure that you're not wasting any hard inquiries on low limit funding opportunities. And one of the best ways to do that is through vendor accounts. Those are with vendors that allow you to set up payment plans on 30-day rotational payback plans. And those plans are called net 30 terms. And now there's also two different statuses for the vendors. There's a tier 1 status for the vendors, and there's tier 2. Tier 1 vendors, you want to think about companies like Uline and Quill. The great thing is that they're easy to get approved for, even without any history. Now the tier 2 vendors, they want to see some payment history. So after you've used Quill and Uline, I would say 3 to 6 months down the line, then you can apply for those companies. They often are associated with things like fuel charges for your business, as well as any office supplies. That will also build your business credit at the next level. I would look to get about 5 of those trade lines overall, 5 to 8 if you can. And then from there, with all that history, you can go into the larger banks and request a business bank credit card. I would highly recommend you go for a 0% APR card. And with that history, you'll be able to get higher limits in that 10, 20, and in a lot of cases, 30, 40, and 50K range. And the last thing I would mention, which is the most important thing, when you go into the bank to open up or apply for that business credit card, I should say, you want to make sure that you've done it with the bank that you have the best relationship with, that you opened your business checking account with, and that you have a rep that you're familiar with, because they're also going to be able to connect you to the right underwriter in the case that you may be initially denied for that business funding. And with all this information, you're well on your way to utilizing and leveraging business funding through banking systems and not having to use your own capital as an entrepreneur. If you found this video helpful, make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe.